What's up, everybody? A Sparrow with a Gun here from Sleepless Nights with another episode on Space Engineers. It's been a while. Sorry about all that. If you're seeing this, that means that the schedule that I had mentioned in my podcast episode is probably valid and active, and we're doing it finally. Excuse me, my throat's been really dry lately. I don't know what's that's been about. A lot of allergy seasons, I guess. So there are some changes to the schedule lineup, and I will probably talk about that briefly toward the end of the episode, because for those of you that don't really care and are just here for Space Engineers, I don't want to kind of take up the whole thing. So bear that in mind. Usually the ones that care about the episodes are the ones that watch the whole thing anyway, so, you know. I did have an idea, though. You'll notice we're floating around here with our build stuff again. And it's been going well. I was pretty sure that I was basically done with this build. Excuse me. Because, other than coloring, I needed to change up the coloring. It's just a flat gray, which is not fun. But for the most part, it was working the way it was supposed to. But the one exception to that was the thrusters going up when they shouldn't, or down when they shouldn't. So we'll turn off our void thrusters here, and you'll be able to see it again, because I was hoping with the new update, they did a massive update and all this stuff, yada yada yada, so I was really hoping that it would actually fix this, because for all intents and purposes in my mind, whether it's how the game is built or not, like whether it was scripted this way and this is how the script works, it logically doesn't actually make physical sense. And I discussed that at length in the last episode, so I'm not going to rehash it. But basically, if I hit spacebar, the thing goes down. But if I let off spacebar, it hovers, which makes absolutely no sense. It should not do that. Obviously, with the void thrusters on, then it works, but that was kind of defeating the purpose of this actual build and why it was designed this way. So there is that. But I got the idea the other day, like it was literally an hour or two before I started recording this, so I've taken a break for a long time, and I hadn't really given it much thought. And I was thinking, what am I going to do when I go back? What's the episode going to be about? And I thought to myself, I don't honestly remember why I was using hydrogen thrusters. I'm not positive, but I think it was because when I developed this idea for an atmospheric transfer ring, the premise was based on the original concept of this ship that used vanilla thrusters. And it was going to have ion thrusters in the middle, which can't work well in the atmosphere, so you use hydrogen to get out of the atmosphere, then you switch over to ion. I think that was the original premise. But I got thinking about it, and I was like, you know, I switched this out for void thrusters so that they didn't have to take up so much space and I could avoid the block damage. Now, I know I'm in creative, but I want to say that I think I actually have block damage off. I'm not sure if I do or not, because I say that because I feel like this stuff is super close and it's not actually taking damage. I don't know, maybe it's not. Is this locked in? No. I have this saved in a different way, so let's see what this back up. Yeah, it doesn't. Oh, let's turn those off. It doesn't look like I have block damage turned on, actually. I must have turned that off for aesthetics. I thought I had it on still. But like I said, it must have just come to... I don't remember. It's been like close to 2 or 3 months. Oops. Didn't mean to do that, whatever. It's been a while since I was actually on here, so I've forgotten a lot of like what I was doing and why. So apparently block damage wasn't an issue. I had that turned off. But if I turned it back on... Or not block damage, thruster damage. Block damage is still on, but thruster damage is off. But if I turn that back on, this may not work. I don't really know, because I think small thrusters go 2 blocks out for damage, if my memory serves. So I think this would break. The inside, anyway. It might not break this upper row, but it would break this internal row here. Which do I have? I don't know if I actually have any blocks on that or not. So I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure if this would hold up or not with block damage off. I mean on, sorry. But anyways, here nor there. I got thinking about it and I was like, why didn't I just load this thing up with batteries and use void thrusters? And I thought to myself for a minute and I went, well, I don't know. So I made a copy of this one over here and I was starting to gut it. Well, not really gut it, but kind of gut it. And essentially not redesign, but rebuild it with the idea of using void thrusters. And then I got thinking about it, and what I might do is include batteries, jump drives, and void thrusters and see what I can do with that. Now, I know for a fact that, let me just use this one. This has kind of been my test dummy one anyway, that void thrusters are a lot stronger than, I think even hydrogen. At least the version I have. Why do I not have control? Is this them? Oh yeah, there they are, thrusters. So let's turn the hydrogen thrusters off. So now we're running solely on void thrusters. And it still moves pretty good. Like I said, I believe the original intention... Oops. I believe the original intention was for ion thrusters to be in the build, and when I added the void thrusters, I think there's only one in every direction on this build, if my memory serves. Do I still have like a bajillion of them out in space? No, I cleaned it up. Okay. So I don't think I'll need a ton of them. In fact, I could probably do like 1 or 2 in every direction and be fine. And then I may do some smaller ones, kind of like we did here, but I don't know. I'm just going to play around with it and see what I end up with. Alrighty, so as you can see, I've made a bit of progress, and if it wasn't already apparent, I am still in creative mode. At the moment, I wanted to kind of do that for a couple of reasons, but namely because, like I said, I'm kind of getting back into the swing of things, and so I didn't want to jump right back in to try and make changes to the build and all that kind of stuff in survival. Because my ultimate plan here is to finish up the design, decide which one we want to use for survival, and then make a blueprint of it. Possibly even putting it up on the workshop if I think the details and all that kind of stuff are done enough, and I can figure out what the heck to name it. Right now I have it as No Name Tentative SWAT-Bot because that was the original inspiration for it. But once I get the idea done, like, okay, this is what I'm going to do, I'm basically going to reload my last survival one, break down whatever one was being made up here on the little platform, and then basically build a projector system and then let the nanite system build it. And, you know, use the driller thing to get whatever we need. So this is kind of tentatively the finished design for the void thrusters, and I may make a blueprint of both of them, just depending on which one you guys like more. Now, I will say this. Based on what I've seen, I believe that if I turn off the void thrusters for the main ship, it'll rise on its own. It'll descend, obviously, because I did put vertical and lateral thrust. Whoops. I thought I put lateral thrust. Apparently I only put one side. It didn't flip. Huh. Okay, that's annoying. Inertia would not turn with me. That's not how that works. That's so dumb. If I turn, then the momentum should be turning as well. That doesn't make any sense at all. None of the physics in this makes sense to me. Inertia should not spin around with you. That's not how that works. Alright, hold on. Let me get out of here. copy you, and then just delete it. I guess I could have just done that, but whatever. That doesn't make any sense at all to me. It's weird because in some ways there's a lot of science behind some of this as far as the there we go. As far as, like, you know, gravity and atmospherics and air density and all that kind of stuff, but at the same time there's certain things that the game does that I'm just like, no, that, like, I'm no physics expert. I've said from the very beginning of my channel that I don't really know how I passed physics, like class in school and in college and stuff. I don't know how I passed it, really. But yeah, it didn't mirror pace them. That's weird. I had mirror mode on, but it did not rotate the thruster. Alright, well, that's annoying. Before I fix that, while I've got this one over here, I left this one slightly gutted, so you could kind of see what changes I made. And actually, let me go into spectator mode so that I can actually fly through this stuff. So obviously, unmirrored lateral thruster aside, but yeah, I loaded the thing up with as many batteries as I could, honestly. And actually, I think I added more after this version, to be honest. Let me see. Let me poke my head in through the armor here. Yeah, I added more. There's one extra one down here as well. So I added more batteries, as many as I could basically find crevices for. There's double batteries there. Ooh, that's actually a good view. So there's like sets of 2, and I think I did it 3 times, and then put a horizontal one up at the top where it would still fit between the armor plating. I removed these 2 just because I was kind of going for the smooth aesthetic, and since I went to the void thrusters, I was able to seal everything off. With the exception being right here and right here, I couldn't get straight armor blocks behind those ramps. So there's a little bit of a texture discrepancy there. And I did find a spot, and I put an antenna and a beacon in there just in case, so that we could go back and find the ring if we lost it or something like that. I figured since I had room it'd be a good idea. What else? What else? I did put another jump drive down in here, in this area, so there's a jump drive right in there. I did leave access somewhere. Where did it go? Oh, once again, I think this got mirrored incorrectly. That was supposed to be over there. Why did it do that? Man, the mirror thing has not been working quite right. So I left this open right here. And I need to fix both sides over here. That's really weird. So this one up here is too far over. It should have been back over here in this row, and then it would have left a slot open. Actually, am I on the... I am. Okay, let me just go ahead and do that while I'm floating around in here. Is mirror mode on? It is, but it didn't delete that because it wasn't in the right place. That's funny. Alright, let's turn that off. And we're going to flip this around and place it there, and then let's do this here. And I just did this little bar strip here to hold it in place in case the front armor plating ever got damaged or something. They wouldn't fall out. I tried to make sure everything was somewhat connected in at least 1 or 2 places. And what else did I need to fix while I was inside here? I need the lateral thruster. There you are. I'm gonna risk it, but I don't know if I can actually... I don't know if I can actually mount this right, because I will say I like the Void Thruster mod. I'm a big fan of the whole idea behind like an electromagnetic thruster that doesn't do damage and blah 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 blah. It's a really cool idea to me. But something in the way the models were done... Ooh, yes, got it. There we go. Something in the way the models were done, they don't really align to stuff right. Now that we're outside here, you can see where the collision box is versus the model. It's really weird. I don't really know why it was set up that way, to be honest. It almost looks like the coordinates were messed up, actually, in the modeling. it kind of look, because this way fits, this way's right, but it almost looks like for this way that the like X and or the Y and Z coordinates got inverted somehow, and it should have been like this should be vertical or something, or the block should have been wider. I'm not really sure why you would do that intentionally, so I kind of feel like it's probably an error, but I don't know. I really don't know. So it's kind of weird. But I'm just kind of looking at it that like it sticks out on the, in this view, the top and the bottom, and in this view, the left and the right, but this way it fits. So I just keep thinking if the actual model were flipped invertedly, or not inverted, but vertically, to where it's like this would be this collision box, then I think it would fit perfectly to the model. So I'm feeling like it's just a collision box and a model coordinate mix-up would be my guess. So that should fix things. Let's go ahead and try that out. Let me make a copy of it, just in case we get flying around again. Okay, so we can go forward, we can go backward, we can go left. I mean, that was right. We can go left. Up, but up's a little bit harder because of the gravity, which makes sense. Alright, and it moves around. Good. And we don't hear any banging around or anything like that. And according to this, without my ship's void thrusters, just using the ATR thrusters, it looks as though we'd have about 4 days of power based on... No, that's weird. And I still don't really understand that either. Space Engineers has this weird mechanic where if you move a little bit, you can rotate the ship and stuff like that, but like right now, if I hit Q and E, it doesn't really do anything. But if I move forward just a touch, then it'll actually let me spin, and then it locks up. I don't really know what that's about. I kind of associate it with all the weird thruster mechanics, like, you know, you can hover, but if you hit up, then you go down. That doesn't make any sense. Or the fact that the one that really didn't make sense in just this episode was when I went to the left, and it was coasting because I didn't have a thruster facing the other direction, but then as I turned the ship, it just kept flying in circles, and I was like, if you're not using your thrusters and all you're doing is rotating the ship, that's not really how inertia or momentum should work. You should just be continuing to go in the left until you turn your other thrusters around and they compensate and they slow you down. So that was weird. It may have been because I had dampeners on, but I needed those on because if I turned them off then I'd fall. So it may have been something in how the dampeners were being used, but it doesn't make sense to me. Like there's a couple things. Like I said, full disclosure, I'm not a physics person. I'm terrible at it. I usually have a pretty good grasp on stuff like how the concepts work, like momentum, friction, velocity, acceleration, things like that. But the actual math calculations and stuff, I'm terrible at them. Anything beyond basic momentum, velocity, things like that, anything beyond that, I fall apart type of thing in terms of like, what am I doing? So I know I'm not the most physics-versed person, and although I like science as far as atmospherics, air pressure, density, things like that, as we've seen in the Stationeer stuff, I really like the idea. I'm also very illiterate in that kind of stuff as well, like atmospherics and pressures and temperatures and gas densities, and like I love the concepts of them, but the actual knowing how they really work and stuff, not so much. So that's why I don't shout too loudly about errors, because I'm not really sure they're errors or not. But yeah, no, it doesn't, like, logically it just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't seem like it should work that way. And I was really glad that I had a few people on my last episode where I mentioned that it was like, you can hover but you can't go up, you'll descend. That doesn't make any sense. You know, things like that. And so I was really glad that I had a bunch of other people commenting going, yeah, no, that's got to be something in the code or in the game's logic or something. Like, it could be coded that way. I just wanted to confirm that physics-wise it didn't make any sense, because it didn't to me. You know, there's a lot of things in games that aren't logical or don't actually make scientific sense, but it's in the game, so it works. But when you get stuff like stationeers and space engineers and things, they're trying to kind of do it accurately as well as best they can. I mean, Stationeers has been vocal about, you know, some things they just had to change. Anyways, I'm getting off on I'm going off on a podcast topic here, but so tons of batteries were replaced for all the hydrogen tanks. I put basically one void thruster in every direction. I really didn't load this thing up with void thrusters. These things are super powerful. At least the version of the mod I'm using is super powerful. So one or two of them go a long way. But they also draw a lot of power. So I was concerned about that, so I threw a bunch of batteries in here. And like I said, I think it's looking at about... I feel like it said 7 a minute. Oh no, it was 7 hours when I was flying around at one point. So it's 4 days at idle. And then if you use it, it looks like if you're using one thruster direction, it has enough for 2 days. I apologize, by the way, if you're hearing a lot of background noise. A big construction truck just went through my neighborhood, and I think my dog was barking downstairs, so I apologize if any of that bled through and you guys heard it. I don't think you will, but you might. So I do apologize for that if you do. That said, I think both of these are done because I cannot seem to fix the hydrogen thrusters thing. Like the void thruster, it works. When I hit the spacebar, it goes up. When I hit spacebar on the hydrogen one, it falls, which it just really doesn't make any sense to me. But since you can be in a hover state, like so, and not descend, you can essentially handle this by just, well, you kind of have to move it a little bit, but you can basically just rotate it this way and then push forward and you'll, you know, fly up. So it does work. The verticals just don't really do what they're supposed to do, kind of thing. At least not the upward verticals. So I do feel like this one's done. I don't really think there's a whole lot else I'd want to change to it, and now I do also think the void thruster version is also done. So because of that, I think it's a matter of detail work. Like, I painted this one black just so I could tell the difference, but kind of coloring them. Yes, I know the giant hydrogen thrusters are a dead giveaway as to which version this is. But anywho, actually it's because I think both of these, I'll probably do a base of this really dark black charcoal kind of color. I didn't want to do black, like this jet midnight black. I feel like, I don't know, that's actually not bad. I feel like it's a little on the, like, I don't know how to best to explain it, but basically unrealistic shade of black, if that makes, it's like pure black. So it almost makes it a little bit less, I don't know, believable. Let's try and take this down to like, I don't know, let's try like 7. That works. Let's try that. That's a little bit better. It's still dark, but it's more of a carbon fiber kind of look. So, maybe something like that would work. The one thing I'm not sure about, I do like the functionality and that this is all sealed off and clean on the void thruster one. It is a little less interesting, and what I mean by that is detail. This has a bit more detail in it because you can actually see the tanks. There's little slots where you can see more tanks. You've got the thrusters that give you a visual, all that kind of stuff. So it has a little bit more, I don't know, plausible, realistic detail type of look. This is more alien high-tech, where it's just a mystical ring type thing. So I'm not really sure. I like them both. I think I will probably go with the void thruster one in my survival gameplay for 2 reasons. One, the vertical thrusters work better, and also all I need is power. I don't need any hydrogen to build up to run the thing. I can basically connect it to the base and let the solar panels just charge the ship. And I really do like that for survival mechanics, for renewability or infinite energy type of thing, as opposed to... Now, grant you, it wouldn't be that hard. We have the drilling platform, so I could make more ice and throw that into a generator and make more hydrogen. It's just kind of one of those, in the interest of time and stuff, it's another step. But let me know what you guys think. I will probably... I think I might do some detail work next episode, or in between this episode and the next episode. I'm not sure yet, but let me know what you guys think for detail. I do think this will be the base color. I'm thinking of using something along this shade of gray for or possibly like a crimson, maybe. I don't know, because what I'm basically thinking is, for those of you that are aware, there's still some stuff that needs to be done for Dog Squad ships, and I have an idea where I could use this kind of ship for the air quotes villains, per se, of the second season. It's kind of more of a it's kind of more of an implied foreshadowing, really, than being the villains of the season type of thing. There really isn't a villain for well, anyways, I've said too much. But I'm thinking of making use of some of my designs in the survival play. Like, it's kind of two birds, one stone. I'm building them in survival, so why not make use of them? To the point that I might even try and find a way to make use of this base somewhere. I just don't know, since I kind of built it around this mountain, I don't know if it would fit anywhere except this kind of mountain, which wouldn't work for what I had planned. But I do kind of think that I'm going to end up using this, so I was kind of keeping in their color scheme, in the Shadowbound Corporation's color scheme. Now, you might remember that when Caden Red Pearl and I were doing a Let's Build series for the Exploration contest, I think it was, we did a Shadowbound, air quote, ship for the Shadowbound Corporation, which was supposed to be a mercenary group and all this kind of stuff. I actually think that was before they were going to be included in Dog Squad. It was just something we threw out there. But since that color scheme, it was a black and gray, black with gray stripes on the ship. So I may try and figure out a way to color it that way and use gray as like an accent color type of thing. Maybe making this diamond, or is that a diamond or a pentagon? I'm not really sure what kind of shape that is. I guess it's it's kind of a very, very weird pentagon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Technically, I think that's a pentagon. It looks more like a fat diamond, but it kind of a baseball diamond shape, whatever. But I might make that gray or something, or that front plate gray, and then have like an outer strip around the ring. Maybe these outer angle blocks could be gray, something like that. So let me know what you guys think if you have ideas for that. Feel free to take, you know, like, I don't know, screenshot of like this and like Photoshop or paint it or something if you don't think you could explain it right but wanted to get a point across. I could do a vertical stripe through there around the ring too. So I don't know. I haven't really worked that out yet, but I do think I'm going to keep this base color for both builds and then probably color them about the same. And I might even post them both on the workshop because they're both viable. They both work. It's just, I think for me and my Let's Play playthrough, I think the Void Thruster one will work better. And yeah, and it kind of changed since I added the Void Thruster, so I think it'll work. But let me know what you guys think in the comments about all that. I did say that I was going to talk about schedule stuff, so this might be a little bit longer. And I do apologize if this has been more of a discussion, talking episode, and it hasn't really been a lot of building. Again, I'm getting back into the swing of things and getting kind of used to recording and doing all that stuff again, so I didn't want to take on a huge amount of change in project for the episode. But this works because it was kind of a new version and it worked out, and I think it's pretty functional. So, for the new schedule, for those of you that didn't watch the podcast, I do encourage you to do that because I explained it at more length and detail, as well as some changes I might be doing to my Patreon stuff and a possible live stream coming up. But in brief, the new schedule should be, Monday is going to be Space Engineers, as you're no doubt seeing. If all goes well, that should be going up on a Monday, this episode, so you should be seeing this Monday. Tuesday will be Stationeers. Wednesday will actually be the Space Engineers Inspiration series now. Thursday should be Feed the Beast, and Friday will be Elite Dangerous, with a possible, I'm kind of looking for you guys' feedback on this one, but a possible return to No Man's Sky on Saturday. As it just so happens, at the time you're seeing this episode, tomorrow, Tuesday this week, I believe it's the 23rd, is the next update for No Man's Sky, and I mean that as the update titled Next, not just the next one. And it adds a ton of stuff and changes a whole bunch of things, but the biggest things for me is stuff like third-person camera, character customization, expanded base building, limits, as well as boundaries. So you can build more things in the base, but you can also build further out. I don't know to what extent some of the details were a little sketchy on that so far. I'm hoping that by the time it's actually up and you're seeing me do gameplay of it, that they will have had more specific patch notes and things that came out, so I'll know more about how it's actually going to work. But the other big thing is apparently more accurate multiplayer, as far as I believe one of the other updates added sort of multiplayer where everybody was like a glowing little orb. But now it's like you can actually see each other's characters and interact with them and form parties and stuff, apparently. I don't know how all that works yet. Again, I'm only going off what I saw in the trailer and what people have been saying, but there hasn't been an official like press statement of here's how all these features work as far as I know. And so, you know, there look to even be to where you can pick a race as far as player customization and things, like you're not all the same race. You could pick one of the different races from the game is what it looked like. So there's multiple races, there's character customization, third-person camera, multiplayer, expanded base building, and so on and so forth. And as well as other things like graphical updates and performance improvements and things like that. So it looked like kind of one of those. I haven't been playing since I think it was the Pathfinder update. I didn't do much on the Atlas Rises update, which apparently added more story and, again, more optimizing and tweaking, basically. But so with the advent of coming back to a regular schedule, trying to get back into more regular content and things like that, and then they were doing this massive update, it just seemed like a good time to try it out again and add it back to the schedule. Then I thought, since it comes out on Tuesday, if I was planning on, again, I explained this in the podcast, but I'll be recording the game on Wednesdays and it will go live on Saturdays. So bear that in mind with this new schedule. There will be some discrepancies with your comments, and I did that because that gives me Thursday and Friday every week to work on projects like my book, Dog Squad, etc. So I'm basically bulk recording the whole weeks within 3 days. And so the only one that goes up like the day before it comes out or something is stuff like Stationeers and I think the Space Engineers Inspiration series. Everything else, there's at least a couple days before it comes out that I've already recorded the episode, and Space Engineers will be a big one. You're seeing it Monday. I'll be recording it on Wednesdays, so up to that point there's only a couple day window there for you to get comments in and me to acknowledge them in the next episode. So if you commented on like a Thursday or Friday and then I just completely ignore it in the next Monday's episode, that's because I didn't see it. And it's a problem that I don't know how to fix with trying to juggle all these different projects and things like that, is that I have to maximize my time. So it was the only way I could figure out how to fit all this together. But it does kind of cut down on the amount of time window there is for feedback input to go into the next episode. So there's nothing really I can do about it. As far as I tried to optimize the schedule as best I could, it still worked for me. And it's the way it is. So bear that in mind, though, if you comment and stuff. And I'll probably try and remind people that for at least a couple of episodes into this new schedule that just, hey, here's a reminder. You know, if you commented or something and you're not getting recognized until way later, it's just because I didn't see it before I already had bulk recorded the next episode, or pre-recorded. But so anyway, since I was going to be recording No Man's Sky on Wednesday anyway, and the new patch was going live Tuesday, I thought, well, maybe if everything works out, it might not be a bad opportunity to actually do like a live stream of the new patch and stuff. And then depending on how multiplayer works, possibly even doing some interaction with you guys during the stream if you wanted to jump on and do that. So let me know what you guys think about all that in the comments. Again, sorry this episode got a little bit longer, but it's kind of a mini PSA type of thing. But again, if you want more details, please check out the podcast episode I just uploaded last week, and then you'll get more in-depth details about all that. So let me know what you guys think about all that in the comments. In the meantime, I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, and I will see you all next time. Peace.